Antsa, wapastem tsikasun. My name's Whitehorse. Thank you for joining me today. Today I brought you into my traditional territory here, and we're going to be learning all about Wachasquamitsun, or rat root. Now, Wachasquamitsun is one of the highly prized maskihi or medicines used by Nihiawak or Cree people because with Wachasquamitsun, it is looked at as one of the sacred plants or sacred medicines that was gifted to Nihiawak or the Cree people. And it's mainly the Cree people who use Wachasquamitsun. And there's a story that tells about how Wachasquamitsun came to Nihiawak. And it's a fairly long story. Uh, Hopefully, if you really want to learn about that story, go on to our Legends and Stories tab and look for the story of Ratroot or the legend of Wetaskiwin, and you can learn all about how this plant came to Cree people. For now, as is the way with our Kihtiak or our elders, uh, as Nihiawak, as Cree people, we generally like to either tell a little story or tell a legend before we learn about any plants or anything in our living environment. So I'm going to begin in that same way. However, this time I'm not going to be sharing a legend with you. I'm just going to tell you a story as our elders quite often do. They'll talk about their life experiences through story. And this incident happened when myself and my older brother were much younger, way younger. I think we were only about 9 or 10 at the time. But we used to spend many hours, almost daily, out in the bush, uh, either hunting or gathering or picking medicines. But on this particular day, we had noticed that uh, in a in a slough very much like where we're at right now today. We noticed there was some watusk, some muskrats had moved into the area that weren't there before because we grew up in that area, so we knew pretty much everything in our own our little home environment there. So we knew where every tree was, we knew where every rock was. So of course, when these watusk moved into our slough, we knew right away. We could see the little rat houses along the edge of our slough. So my brother and I decided, well, we're gonna start hunting these watusk, and we're gonna get some good muskrat because at the time we used to eat everything off the land, including watusk, which were very tasty little critters. Definitely not like the rats we hear about, the field rats carrying disease and everything. With watusk, they are a water animal, a very clean animal. They're not disease ridden. They don't carry sicknesses like the field rats. In fact, watusk are very clean. They prefer it clean, and they're usually disease free. So very tasty little critters. And anyway, my brother and I decided we are going to uh, start hunting these watusk. However, when we went back home, we told our dad about the watusk, and we were getting our guns and everything ready to go hunt watusk. And and he told us be very careful. And this was something we had learned before from our Muslim and our Kochum, our grandparents. They told us to be careful of watusk because he might be a tiny little animal, but he's very fearless and fierce and very aggressive. Uh, uh, so my dad reminded us to don't get watusk angry because once he's angry, he's going to come after you and he's not going to stop for nothing. He's not afraid, even though you're way taller and you're much bigger. He doesn't care. He's fearless. So of course we didn't listen, and we went ahead on our little hunt. My brother went on one side of our little slough there, and I was on the other side. Uh, Not directly across each other, but we were going to walk and sort of look for signs of where these Wet'susk were hanging out. But I didn't notice that I was standing very near to one of the, the little Wet'susk houses that they had built along the edge of the slough. And I was standing, in fact, just a couple of feet above it because there was a drop, so I couldn't see it below me. But my brother was watching from the other side, and I guess I was making too much noise there, or maybe they had little ones in the house. And but anyway, Wet'susk got angry, and it started coming after me. And I could see my brother across the slough just waving his arms and hollering, but I couldn't quite hear because of the wind. And as I was watching him, I was wondering, what is this guy doing, jumping around and hollering up there? Maybe this Wet'susk, this muskrat is after him. So I was really looking hard, trying to see if I could see a muskrat chasing him around there, but no, he was pointing towards me. And I was wondering why the whole time, but I could hear something sort of splashing in the water. So I very carefully peeked over the edge as far as I could. And when I looked over, I could see this little Wet'susk, and he was in the water, but there was a sort of a sharp bank, so he couldn't climb up there. But I tell you, that little fur ball was jumping up about 3 or 4 feet out of the water, jumping, lunging at me, trying to get just inches away from getting over the edge of the water and getting after me. So as soon as I saw him, I realized my brother had been watching this crazy little Wet'susk jumping at me and trying to get at me and hollering the whole time. Well, I'll tell you what, everything my Muslim and my Chochum and my dad had said about how fierce and mean Wet'susk is, that's all I could think about. And here I am, my brother and I thought we were the great hunters. I threw down my 22 and I started running as fast as I could run. So my brother ended up, he's watching this the whole time from across the slough. He could see me throw my gun and start running. And once I got back to our little gravel road, he came walking out, and we didn't say a word. We just looked at each other and just burst out laughing. We couldn't stop. We laughed until our bellies hurt because here we were bragging about being great, brave hunters, and just to see what that little Wet'susk did to me. So there's my story about Wet'susk. And even to this day, I'm not afraid of them, but I'm very respectful of them because I know how aggressive and how protective and mean they can be. So I'm always keeping an eye out when I'm in an area like this because I don't think I can outrun Wet'susk these days. So like I said, today we're going to be learning about Wet'suskawmitsun. And the first thing is when you're looking for Wet'suskawmitsun, of course, Wet'suskawmitsun is a water plant. So you want to make sure you're going near water, usually old sloughs. You can see where the sloughs where you can see all of the bulrushes. They look like drumsticks sticking out of the water. Those are bulrushes. And bulrushes like to grow alongside Wet'suskawmitsun or the rat root. Now, the scientific name for rat root is sweet flag, or they also call it calamus. But we as Nihiawak, we call it Wet'suskawmitsun, which is rat root. So if you're looking to learn more about what the plant is, where it grows, just Google calamus or sweet flag, and it'll tell you all about the scientific data they have on the plant. However, I'm going to give you some of the traditional knowledge that we have on it. Now, with any muskegee in the bush, we, as gatherers of medicines, we are always taught from a very young age, every single plant and medicine in our environment, in our world, has a twin. One twin is usually a good edible plant or a medicine plant, and one is a poisonous plant, and one that will get us really, really sick if we try and eat it. So non-edible plant. And every plant, we're told, has that twin. This is why it's very important that if you're going to learn about gathering plants or medicines uh, for uh, for helping yourself when you're sick or to sustain your body by eating these plants, you need to make sure you have the guidance of elders or kihtiya to really teach you about these, because you can get sick and possibly even worse if you go out and you don't really know what you're doing in the bush. Now, with what Chasquamitsun, we are told that its twin is the bulrush because it looks very much like a bulrush, and it's very easy to get them mixed up when you're in the bush unless you really know what you're looking for and you really know your plants. So with the bulrush, of course, the easiest way to notice a bulrush is it's got the little drumstick sticking out, and we see them all over the place. The little looks like a corn dog sticking up out of the slough. So you look in the area we are. We have the slough here. We have all of the easy to pick out bulrushes. So with the bulrush, since it's a twin to Wachasquamitsun, Wachasquamitsun likes to grow nearby it, just to sort of increase its chances of survival and from not being picked. Because if people don't recognize it, chances are it's going to camouflage itself along with the bulrushes and not be noticed unless you really know what you're looking for. So here we have a bulrush and Wachasquamitsun, or the sweet flag or rat root uh, uh, leaves. So with the bulrush, the first thing you'll notice is if you pull off one of these really long reeds of the bulrush, if you look at where you've pulled it off, you'll see at the bottom it looks almost like a sponge or a honeycomb sort of thing, and it feels even spongy. That's the first thing you'll notice. Second thing you'll notice is on one side, if you look closely, it's sort of curved inward. So it's concave, curved inward. And if you look directly on the other side of it, you'll see that it continues. And on the other side, it's convex, or it's facing outwards in a curve. Along with that, you'll see with the bulrush, it's always smooth on both the back side and the front side. You can run your hand on it and you won't feel anything, but you'll see the line sort of going down it. But it'll be just smooth. You can run your finger all along there easily, and your thumb usually fits right in there perfectly. But the other side, again, since it's convex or bowed out, that's where you can see and recognize this as a bulrush. The other thing is, although it's sharp, the leaves taper off on each side. On the reed, it's sort of sharp on each side, but it keeps that curved shape. So that's a bulrush. If we look at Wachasquamitsun, very different. So if you look at the bottom, or where you've taken the Wachasquamitsun out of there, it doesn't look like that sponge, or it doesn't look like that sort of a honeycomb. It's just sort of, although it's got little openings in it, the openings run straight up and down. They're not crisscrossed and honeycombed. The other thing with Wachasquamitsun, we are always taught that near the bottom it looks like mohoman, or a knife, because it's flat on one side and tapered or sharp on the other side. So just like a knife is shaped, flat on one side, sharp on the other side. So sort of in a V pattern, flat on the top and sort of like a triangle pattern. So the same shape as a knife. And when we go near the top, it turns into a double-edged knife. So it means it's sharp on both sides, and it's like a double-edged knife. The other thing is you could see right down the middle there's a spine on both sides. So just like a knife has that spine running down the center of it, so does Wachasquemitsun, where you can run your finger and follow that spine on Wachasquemitsun. So this would be the reed from our Wachasquemitsun. If you still have trouble identifying between just the reeds, the other thing is to look for the female Wachasquemitsun, because the female Wachasquemitsun has these little seed pods, or it looks like an acorn or a pine cone. So if you look for that pine cone sort of sticking out in the marsh like this or in the slough, only Wachasquemitsun will have that pine cone on it. So this is the female plant. It has that pine cone on it with the seed pods. And from there, you can recognize and get a really good look at the leaves so you know what kind of reeds you're looking for. So again, I've got that pine cone seed pod. So I look at the leaf or the reed closely. I see that sort of a knife spine down the middle. I see that it's sharp on both sides. It's not curved in any way, but I can run my finger along that spine to the top, and it looks almost like a saber or something. But that's the easiest way to recognize it. So now that we've recognized the Wachasquemitsun, we can go ahead and look for some, and and I'll go about showing you how to harvest Wachasquemitsun once we've identified the reeds, because we're not going to be using the reeds at all for medicine. The medicine is in the root, which is why we call it rat root, Wachasquemitsun. So we're going to look for the reeds like this. Once we find one, then we're going to show you how we'd harvest Wachasquemitsun.